Welcome to the 2023 interview series. I'm Sabrina Schottenhamel, and today I have my dear, beautiful friend Angela with me. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much for having me, Sabrina. I'm so excited.
Yay. So the first question I want to ask you, I would love for you to introduce yourself and then tell the audience how we met.
Okay. Well, as Sabrina said, my name is Angela Mancini. I am local to the Chicagoland area. However, I did move out into the Phoenix Valley area a couple of years ago. I am a wife of 14 years, just had an anniversary, and a mom of 5. And I run a ministry out here called the Baton Pass. So that takes quite a lot of my time. And that's kind of a little bit about me. I love reading and I love hiking. Those are
I
like,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's probably looking at you, and even Scott says this, like, what is she, like 12? She looks so young. She's got all these children and she just looks so young. I'm like, yes,
Knock
I
on wood.
know. So youthful.
Yeah, no, I just turned 34 a couple days ago. So
Yay, happy
yeah.
birthday.
Thank you, friend. Yeah, I will just want that to continue.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us a little bit more about the Baton Pass.
Sure. Yeah. And actually, it's wonderful because that's actually how we met.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because you are in the Chicagoland area too. And I feel like we've had so much time to chat online, and we didn't know each other when I lived there locally. So that would have been like awesome to have coffee dates or something. But I actually met Sabrina when we had a virtual event after the lockdowns happened in 2020. The Baton Pass is very event focused. We do events for women. And when all the lockdowns happened, we couldn't do any more events, at least in person. So it kind of prompted us to do some virtual events. And Sabrina was on one of them, which was lovely. And then I got to know you a little bit better when we did a virtual workshop together. And I always say, Sabrina, you're such a trooper, because she was like the guinea pig, like deployed, which is our writing workshop. She hopped in and was so gracious about all the bumps that we hit through the way. And but it was really such a sweet opportunity to get to know you, Sabrina, a little bit better. And then you've just been a pillar in my life ever since. So that's a little bit about how we met. But a little bit more about the Baton Pass. So it is a Chicago women's ministry. I started working with the Baton Pass in 2018. So it's been going on for a little while now. And I entered into the Baton Pass kind of like it had to be a God thing, because my husband and I knew Kelly, who is the founder of the Baton Pass, from a business opportunity that we were both a part of, but we didn't know each other very well. My husband actually did some like videography for some of those business groups, because we owned another business which had cinematography and stuff. So she asked him to come at the third event that they ever did, and he mentioned to me briefly that he was going to be gone recording for that event. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. And then like 48 hours prior to, he was like, actually, it's with Nate and Kelly, and it's like a women's event. And I'm like, well, can I come? like, I like held that information. But he probably thought he mentioned it to me. But so we reached out to Kelly, and if anybody knows Kelly, she is just the warmest person. And so, of course, she had a seat ready for me at the table. And I came and listened to these women share just raw stories of struggle and triumph. But it was so hope-filled. And as I remember sitting in the room and like just taking in everything that was happening in the room, I was like, oh my gosh, this was like the community that my heart was yearning for. And so I went up to Kelly afterwards and was like, I need to be a part of this somehow. And so we ended up having our own coffee date not long after. And actually, it was at a Panera, and we closed that Panera down. We just had a lot to say. And I have been absolutely blessed to be a part of the leadership now with the Baton Pass for like 4 years, a little bit over 4 years. So it's a little bit about the Baton Pass. And now I lead a chapter here in the Phoenix area. So that has been stretching and incredible. And I just feel like I have the best support system ever with all these ladies that I got to learn from for like multiple years. So a little bit about the Baton Pass.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's so cool that you became a part of the Baton Pass here where you lived in Chicago, and then you got to transfer and expand it to another location.
Yeah, it's so funny because we, any organization, you talk about your vision for what the organization is going to do that year or the next 5 years. And one of the things that we said was, well, we wanted all the multiple chapters all over the place. And if you had told me that I was going to be leading one of those chapters, I'd be like, no, thank you. Just because I always consider myself like a reluctant leader, which I just am like, you tell me what to do and I will totally implement, like I'll do it. But sometimes when you're given an opportunity, you have to like just jump on it and do honestly what God tells you to do. So it has been stretching, but it's been such a phenomenal blessing. And I always tell Kelly that like I feel like I was like airdropped into a space that had all these women that were already like ready to join the Baton Pass, and they already had that kind of heart and that vision. So I kind of dropped into a community where that was going to happen. So it's been very sweet to see how it's blossomed here.
Mm-hmm. They were waiting for you to come, Angela.
I guess so. I did. Yeah. Guess so.
It was good. All in God's timing, right?
Yes, so true.
So tell me, what are some of your passions? I know you said in the beginning you like to hike, and what was the other thing? Read, right?
Yeah, I like reading. I like hiking. I love music. I think some of the best stories are told through music. But I honestly, and this is going to sound so cheesy, I really love just that one-on-one connection with people. I love seeing women healed up and growing. I think that's a beautiful thing, and to be able to encourage growth. I know that I've had so many women who have come alongside me and like pushed me to grow so graciously, and I love to see that happen. So I love a good coffee date where we can get to know people like in a very deep and intimate way, and to cheerlead them on and encourage them on. So I love that. I cannot get enough of that. So
yeah, one-on-one connection, especially like over coffee or a meal, of course. Anytime it's over food, it's lovely. And you said that music is one of your passions. And actually, the first time you met my husband, you guys totally connected on the music level.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
Homie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So and there was so much to talk about that day.
Yeah, I absolutely loved that time. There's always, that's the great thing about connecting with people, is there's always some common ground somewhere. Mm-hmm. And the longer you talk with someone, the more you can just find it. You just go in with an open heart and open mind, and oh my gosh, you can be surprised how you connect. It's so beautiful.
It is. Yeah. Thank you. Well, you already talked about how you got into the Baton Pass. You told us the story. Is there anything else you want to include in that?
About the Baton Pass?
Yeah, or how you like anything in your background that led you to them?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting. I was very chronically ill when I was a child, and one of the things that got me through that many years actually growing up was actually reading stories of other people who had gone through sometimes very different things than I was currently going through. But there was this hope that was kind of embedded in a lot of these stories that was just like, if they can get through what they're going through, then I can get through what I'm going through. And to know that there is another side. And I knew that somewhere in me, there's a lot of things that I had overcome. I think when you are chronically ill or have some situation that makes you feel other, it kind of makes you feel like you don't belong, and you need to grab onto experiences of other people to say, okay, I can see common ground with them. They've gotten through it. I can get through it. You feel seen, you feel known in that. And it's such an encouragement, because there are some days where we just need true courage under our feet. And so to have a place and have a community where that's kind of like brought to the surface, where we care so deeply about stories, we care so deeply that we get them out of us. Everybody's walking around with lots of chapters of their story that can be so hopeful for someone else. And sometimes we just need a community to help like unlock those things. And so I would just say, if you have a story in you, if you've been through something, gosh, you have such a great opportunity to share that with someone else and to find those communities that will come alongside you and equip you to do that. So that's one of the reasons I love the Baton Pass. And it is a gracious and a safe space to share those types of things.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned deployed earlier and me
Yes.
taking that. And this is our fourth one now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry.
go ahead.
Yeah. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
So deployed really was birthed out of seeing that there are so many women who share their stories, and then there's all these other women that have stories in them and they don't know where to start with them. And we started it just saying, we want there to be a workshop, a place where women in sort of a small group can gather and be supportive, to write their story, to what we call engaging our stories, to write them so that they could be hopeful for someone else, and to feel like you really have a grip on this message. However, what we found as we have gone through the process is that that's not the only reason why we would write our stories or engage our stories. There's just an incredible amount of healing that happens when we take a really good look at our stories. And so it's just an encouragement for ladies. So we do a 6-week kind of curriculum style, where we have ladies, no more than maybe 10 to 15 ladies will gather every week on a Zoom. We'll talk about engaging our stories. We'll have some assignments. We'll have some chat with each other. We'll move kind of through the process together. The first 3 weeks are a lot more about healing through story. And the last 3 weeks are a lot more about, okay, how is our story like impactful, and how is it fruitful, and how can we piece it together in a way that flows and that can connect with our audience. And then at the end of the workshop, we have ladies actually share their story and share what they've been experiencing these last 5-6 weeks. And then it's just a safe place for women to give feedback. This is what I heard in your story, to validate some of those things, because we need that. So it has just been like this most sacred place. And I know that I have so much appreciation for you, Sabrina, and our sweet friend Rachel, because even though I facilitate deployed, you both have been such incredible pillars And you are just always game to take on any subject matter.
Yeah.
Like, you know it, you're so passionate about it, and so is Rachel. And so I feel like we are a dynamic team. But that's deployed. And so we offer it a couple times a year. If I could do it all the time, I would, because I love it so much. But yeah, it's just a space for ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love it too. I love being able to share what I've learned over the last 10 years, even about just public speaking. But when you're public speaking, you have to tell stories in order
Yeah.
to connect with your audience. And so it's helping me to develop my skills even deeper. But then I'm sharing my experiences that I've learned over the last 10 years on public speaking,
Wow, that's
how
so
to
good.
share your story, what to include, what not to include, what to say and what not to say.
Mhm.
And like it's definitely helped me to dive deeper into, like just including more examples of stories.
Yeah.
And I can see it in the Zoom room when we're on our call and people are connecting with the story. It just lights me up inside when I tell that story, an example story, and someone connects with it.
Yeah, I think even every book that you read, even if it's just like a success book or a leadership book, when it's tied to a story, you could have the most profound statement, but it can go in one ear and out the other. But when it's tied to a story, there's something that like embeds itself, and it is so powerful. And
Mhm.
so I'm right there with you, sister. I love story, and I love hearing them in a lot of different spaces, like what you're doing in public speaking, and to be okay with sharing bits of their story. That's a beautiful thing. That's so authentic.
Mhm. Yeah, thanks. And the next question I want to ask you is, what are you grateful for right now?
I am grateful for days of rest. I'm so grateful for the successful feeling of working hard and being productive for the 6 days, and then to have the seventh day to just do whatever you want to do to recharge. I think that it creates such incredible balance. And so I've been like fighting for that day of rest every week. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love it. I've never been more productive than having one solid day where I'm just recharging. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm working towards getting that one day of rest.
You can do it.
I know I can. I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So how can people connect with you and the Baton Pass, whether it's here or in Arizona?
Yeah. So the easiest way is probably to jump on our Instagram or our Facebook. So if you just go to the Baton Pass on either one, it should pop up. You also we have a website called thebatonpass.com. And so you can find us there. There are some ways to connect with us through that. Or there's good old fashioned email. Yeah, I absolutely love, we've had such sweet connection with people who happen to hear a podcast somewhere through something else and reached out to us through email. And it's just been like soul sisters. They've jumped on board with us, and we were like, I didn't know I needed you so bad. Then when you found us through email, so that we love those. We watch those emails come in.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I will definitely include the website and the social media sites so people can get a hold of you if they want.
Wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Well, thank you, Angela. I appreciate your time and sharing this space with me. Have a good
Thanks for
day.
having me. You too. All
Okay.
right. Bye.
Bye.